Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 540 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin ignored the retreating water general, who was filled with disbelief. He closed his eyes and slowly felt the drop of the universe he had obtained. This eighth essence was the water essence, but it wasn't complete inside Wang Lin. Just like the fire essence, it needed to be fused many times to reach completion. This was the difference between ethereal and corporeal essences. Ethereal essences only needed to be comprehended to become complete. However, this comprehension was much more difficult. This could be seen from Wang Lin's life and death, karma, and true and false essences. In contrast, corporeal essences were easier in comparison. Wang Lin's fire and thunder essences only required a seed, then he just had to strengthen it until essence appeared. Right now what was inside Wang Lin was the seed of the water essence. With this essence, Wang Lin could slowly make it reach completion. Essences were difficult to complete, and creating the seed was even harder. If Wang Lin hadn't devoured the ancient thunder dragon and the eternal thunder from the scattered thunder clan, the thunder seed won't have appeared. The fire essence was the same. If he hadn't awakened the vermilion bird many times, he wouldn't have obtained the fire seed. Now the drop of the universe was like the ancient thunder dragon and eternal thunder, or even the vermilion bird awakening. It gave Wang Lin the water seed. This was what excited Wang Lin the most. There was nothing free without hard work, everything had to obtain step by step. As for the earth spirit, Wang Lin had absorbed it from the earth formation, but it was far from enough to form the earth seed. Maybe if there was someone with the earth armor to reveal the earth essence for him to comprehend, then a seed might appear. This kind of thing could only be wished but not forced. Wang Lin understood this well. Feeling the vitality from the water seed, Wang Lin opened his eyes. His gaze toward the water general was no longer cold but completely calm. The moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, the water general seemed to awaken from his shock. He retreated like crazy, and after 7 or 8 steps, he was about to run. However, he had been so generous to Wang Lin, so how could Wang Lin let him leave like this? Wang Lin's right hand reached forward and a giant hand appeared from the void. The hand grabbed the retreating water general. As the water general struggled, Wang Lin withdrew his right hand and the giant hand brought the water general back to him. Wang Lin's right index finger stretched out and pointed to the spot between the eyebrows of the water general. The water general's face was distorted with pain and looked like a dried-up lamp. His life force and soul had already fused with the armor around him. He borrowed the power of the armor and the armor used him as nutrients. This relationship had been maintained for a long time, but now that the water general was weak, the situation was fatal. The armor would suck away the last of his life force. Wang Lin's finger entered and a powerful force rushed out from his body, entering the water general's body. It formed a barrier that completely separated the water general's body and soul from the armor. Since you gifted me the water seed, I won't kill you, and I'll save you once. This is my principle. Wang Lin lifted his finger. The armor around the water general trembled and was forcibly removed. The fragments scattered in all directions. There was a line of blood connecting each fragment of the armor to the water general even though the fragments had scattered far away. The current water general looked very creepy. This terrifying scene caught the attention of all the horrified Gui Yi sect cultivators. Watching this strange scene, a chill appeared in their hearts. The water general's armor was taken off. At the same time, waves of miserable screams came from the water general. The pain almost completely drowned him, but he couldn't pass out and could only endure the pain. However, he also knew that Wang Lin was not torturing him but saving him. If he didn't take off the armor, he would without a doubt die. After all, he had used a lot of power, and in order to kill Wang Lin, he had activated an amount of power he couldn't withstand from the armor. If he had refined Wang Lin, he would have been fine after absorbing that drop of water, but he had ended up in this current state. A large amount of red lines connected the water general and armor fragments. The lines moved with the fragments, and the water general's miserable screams continued to echo. Wang Lin's expression became serious as he stared at the water general. His eyes shined as he began to deduce the armor. After a while, he raised his right hand and the blood sword appeared. It flew forward and cut the red lines connecting the water general and the armor. Popping sounds echoed and all the lines connecting to the water general shattered and returned to the fragments. The armor had been completely separated from the water general. After scattering, the fragments strangely gathered and reformed the armor, but it had a lot of cracks. It fell to the ground. The armor made it look as if someone was sitting there and emitting dark blue water light. A lance appeared from the blue light and fell into the arms of the armor. After the armor was taken off, the water general coughed out a large amount of blood mist. His body was extremely weak as he staggered back. He looked at Wang Lin with a complicated gaze. Wang Lin looked at the armor and slowly said, "You can go, I won't kill you." The water general pondered a bit and opened his mouth to say something, but in the end he said nothing. He was exhausted as he took a step backward and disappeared from the water formation. Wang Lin's right hand reached toward the armor to take it to study when he suddenly looked up. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes. He stepped forward without hesitation, and at the same time, ripples came from the water formation. Powerful pressure came from the ripples, and the world suddenly collapsed. This collapse was too sudden. When the water formation collapsed, a powerful pressure descended. This pressure was too strong, as if this area couldn't withstand it. Ripples echoed behind the armor and a vortex appeared. A dried-up arm came from the vortex and reached for the armor. At the same time, a grim and old voice came from the vortex, and this sound went directly toward Wang Lin's mind. "This is not something you can possess, scram for this old man." Wang Lin wasn't caught completely unaware of the sudden change. The step he had taken before the water formation collapsed allowed him to reach top speed in an instant. His 7 essences suddenly merged into his powerful late-stage spirit void cultivation and erupted from his body. The moment his step landed, Wang Lin's ancient Tao power entered every inch of his flesh and bones. This allowed his body to crush a cultivation planet. Wang Lin's full power erupted in full. It was like a storm of destruction had appeared. Wang Lin's momentum was on full swing. His step landed the moment the vortex appeared and the arm came out. He did not land in the void but on the arm. And he mercilessly stomped. All of this happened in an instant, too fast for anyone to retreat. Wang Lin's right foot moved like lightning, containing the power of the ancient Tao as it descended. The old voice exclaimed and the arm rapidly changed directions. His arm tried to form a spell to defend, but he obviously didn't expect Wang Lin to react so fast and be so vicious. Wang Lin's right hand mercilessly landed on his arm. With a bang, there was also the sound of bones shattering mixed in. The arm became twisted and swelled up. The arm quickly retracted into the vortex, but it exploding and blood splattered everywhere. "You dare to steal something from me? Are you tired of living?" Wang Lin stood behind the armor, and his gaze was as cold as ice as he looked at the vortex. He casually waved his left hand and the water blue armor and lance were taken by Wang Lin. Everything that had happened was done in one smooth motion, from taking the step to breaking the arm and taking the armor. He gave off the aura of a master of the generation. Cultivator of the ancient country. "You're a member of the ancient clan." A nearly distorted voice filled with pain came from the vortex. This scene was seen by Grand Empyrean Xian Luo outside the planet. He revealed a proud smile and a tyrannical expression. "Good, indeed a child of my ancient Tao clan. This is the best way to deal with people who dare to offend the ancient Tao. If he did less, I would be somewhat dissatisfied. This is very similar to my temper. If it was me, I would have cut his claws off." Guiyi sect, the group of celestials that came here is interesting. Grand Empyrean Xian Luo casually looked at the tower. If he wanted, he could wave his hand and all life on the planet would disappear. Putting away the water general's armor, Wang Lin's eyes were cold like ice. He looked at the vortex and his hand reached toward it. At the same time, bright, golden light came from the vortex like sharp swords. It collided with Wang Lin's right hand. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the water formation. Wang Lin retreated 3 steps and withdrew his right hand. His expression didn't change at all, it was still extremely cold. The vortex collapsed under the impact and exploded into specks of crystals. It disappeared without a trace. On Planet 5 Elements, the 9th floor of the tower was giving off a golden glow. Inside sat an old man wearing a golden shirt with lifelike patterns embroidered on it. At this moment, the old man trembled and coughed out blood. His right hand was bruised and dark. It was also at a weird angle and was obviously broken. Large amounts of blood flowed out from his right arm and dripped on the ground. A member of the ancient clan, the power of his body belongs to the ancient Dao clan. He doesn't seem to be a descendant created from Yemo's 3,000 drops of blood. Yemo's descendant couldn't be as strong as him. This person is likely not someone from the cave, he came from the immortal astral continent. Damn it, someone else is here besides my Guiyi sect. The old man's pupils shrank and his eyes were filled with pain. He looked at his right hand with horror and pain in his eyes. What a vicious step. If not for the armor, my arm would have shattered and even my body would have exploded. The old man's face was extremely gloomy as he faced the outside of the tower and roared, "Na Duo, come and see me." When the old man's voice came out of the 9th floor of the tower, the hearts of all the cultivators outside the tower trembled. All the uproar stopped and they knelt toward the tower. Na Duo's eyes twitched and he jumped toward the 9th floor without hesitation. He stopped outside and was about to speak when a giant hand grabbed him and pulled him in. Na Dao didn't dare to resist, allowing the giant hand to drag him into the tower. After he entered, he immediately knelt on the ground and spoke respectfully. Junior Na Duo greets 9th ancestor. The old man in the golden robe looked at Na Duo and roared, "Who is he? How did you provoke such a person?" Hearing the old man's words, Na Duo raised his head to speak, but when he saw the blood the old man had coughed out, his heart trembled. Then he saw the old man's right arm, and a monstrous wave was set off in his heart. He knew the ancestor had acted, but not only had the ancestor not gained the advantage, he had been injured by Wang Lin. His body trembled and he quickly spilled everything he knew without hiding anything. As Na Duo spoke, inside the 5-element formation, the water formation collapsed. Wang Lin could have left, but he chose not to. He stepped forward and there was a dazzling glow as a new world appeared before him. The gentle wind blew by. The fragrance that the breeze brought would make anyone feel calm. It was a dense jungle here with no end in sight. The towering trees were like swords that pierced the clouds, and the leaves formed patches of shade. 5-element wood formation. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he looked around, and he gradually smiled. On this trip to Planet 5 Elements, ignoring the main objective, just this 5 elements formation had given Wang Lin a great fortune. How could Wang Lin let the wood formation go? He charged forward. However, as soon as Wang Lin moved, all the trees in the jungle trembled. All the leaves fell off due to some mysterious force and flew toward Wang Lin. There were too many leaves, enough to cover the sky and earth. They were locked onto Wang Lin as if they were trying to take his soul away. Wang Lin's expression didn't change at all as he retreated 3 steps. His right hand formed a fist and coldness appeared in his eyes. He suddenly clawed at the space before him. Heaven ripping. This tear caused the clouds to scatter, then a loud tearing sound echoed. A giant rift was torn open in the world, and it connected the sky and earth. It felt like it was going to tear the world in half. In truth, the world before Wang Lin was split in half. The center of the rift led into the dark void. At this moment, it rapidly expanded as if the night was devouring the day. But just this wasn't enough to display the power of heaven ripping. The countless leaves were all torn along with the world. All the leaves split in half, revealing the lines that connected the 2 sides of each leaf. All the leaves coming from all directions were ripped apart like this. When the heaven ripping came from Wang Lin's right hand, a thunderous rumble echoed as if the wood formation was going to collapse. All the leaves closing in on Wang Lin split in half and moved by his sides, colliding with the leaves coming from the opposite direction. From afar, Wang Lin's figure looked to be drowned by the collision of the leaves. A moment later, Wang Lin walked out of the darkness. Behind him, the rift grew bigger like a large mouth. The collapsed leaves created a mass of chaos. It was like the end of the world. Just as Wang Lin walked out, the trees that had lost all their leaves began to move strangely. Under Wang Lin's gaze, the trees all began to extend and intersect with each other. Soon, the trees extended and grew to form a giant face. Surrender or be destroyed. Wang Lin's white hair gently fluttered behind him along with his white robe. He stared at the face of the tree on the ground. The face in the forest silently pondered, and after a long time, it slowly closed its ancient eyes. At this moment, bright green light gathered between its eyebrows. It formed a green crystal that shot toward Wang Lin. It floated before Wang Lin and he picked it up with his right hand. When he put it away, all the trees moved back to their original positions. Wang Lin no longer looked down but stepped forward and the world around him distorted until it all collapsed. The wood formation rapidly dissipated and the last formation appeared, the metal formation. The metal formation was filled with the power of metal, and the smell of killing intent was dense in the metal world. There was no earth here. Instead, there were large swords filled with the power of metal and killing intent. There were no clouds or sun in the sky, only endless swords hanging upside down in the air. Those countless swords buzzed the moment Wang Lin appeared. This was a sword hymn. All the swords hymned at the same time. Metal was no wood. Wood could be soft, which was why Wang Lin had given the wood spirit that had gained intelligence a chance to choose. Metal was different, metal would always be straight and never yield. At this moment, the sword hymn echoed and all the swords shot out. The millions of swords all flew toward Wang Lin. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the violent sounds became the only sounds that existed, and they lingered for a long time. On Planet 5 Elements, in the 9th floor of the tower, after Na Duo had spoken of everything he knew about Wang Lin, the old man was still gloomy. He still didn't believe that Wang Lin was not someone from the immortal astral continent. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly looked outside the tower. His expression was filled with killing intent. He has broken the metal formation. He is going to enter the 9 cycles. The old man in the golden robe stood up. His eyes were filled with coldness and killing intent. Na Duo hesitated and asked, "Ancestor, can our Planet 5 Elements' most powerful 9-cycle heart wheel formation stop this person?" The 9-cycle heart wheel, 9 breaths for 1 cycle. The faster one's heart moves, the faster it turns. It is difficult to say. This formation can be difficult and can be simple. It is one of the protection formations of the Guiyi sect on the immortal astral continent. Although this formation only has 40% of its power, as long as he can't see through the formation and it rotates even a bit, he won't be able to break through. Everything will depend on whether his heart moves or not, the ancestor muttered, but his words were too mysterious. Na Duo listened but didn't understand much, but he didn't ask more. Instead, he looked into the sky outside the tower. Inside the formation, thunderous rumble echoed and the metal formation collapsed. Wang Lin walked out from inside. He could now see Planet 5 Elements not far away. It seemed as if he only needed to take one step to enter Planet 5 Elements. Behind Wang Lin was the 5 Elements formation that was disintegrating. Staring at Planet 5 Elements, he was about to enter, but he suddenly stopped. He exclaimed softly and his eyes lit up. In his view, the planet had actually moved. It began to slowly rotate. The moment Wang Lin saw the planet rotate, on the 9th floor of the tower, the gloominess on the old man in the gold robe's face disappeared and was replaced with a smile. 9-cycle heart wheel. Even on the immortal astral continent, very few people can break it. The focus of this formation is the heart. The faster one's heart moves, the more difficult it becomes to break. You said that this person was very cunning and very intelligent. It has been many years, and not only did he not die, but his cultivation level has increased greatly. He must have experienced many life and death situations and his mind has been honed to be like that of a demon. The smarter the person, the more difficult it is for them to break free. This is only the first cycle, the later it becomes, the more killing potential it has. Once it reaches 9 cycles, he will be trapped there for life until his mental energy has been exhausted and he dies. When Enado heard this, he smiled. He clasped his hands at the old man and said, "With the ancestor here, this person cannot escape." The old man in the golden robe laughed and looked at this right arm. There was a hint of viciousness in his gaze. Even now, his right arm still felt pain. Even when he used his celestial energy, it wasn't able to alleviate all the pain. Outside the planet, Grand Empyrean Xian Luo, who had been observing this whole time, narrowed his eyes. This 9-cycle heart wheel's power is average, but it is difficult for those who don't understand it to break it. I fear this child can't break out. Forget it, I'll watch for a bit longer. If he is really trapped, I'll save him. Grand Empyrean Xian Luo gently shook his head. He didn't expect Wang Lin to break the famous Gui Yi sect formation, but there was a sliver of expectation in his heart. However, this expectation was very weak. When he noticed this sliver of expectation, he even laughed. I shouldn't expect too much. Even if this generation's emperor charged into this formation without any knowledge beforehand, he would be trapped. Wang Lin's expression was serious as he looked at Planet 5 Elements. However, the more he looked, the faster it rotated. At the start, it was rotating slowly, but now it was several times faster. As it rotated, Wang Lin felt a stinging pain in his eyes and got a sense of vertigo. In those few breaths, his mental energy was rapidly consumed. This discovery made Wang Lin's heart tremble and he didn't hesitate to close his eyes. However, even with his eyes closed, his divine sense still saw the planet rotate without pause. What kind of formation is this? Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened, and his expression was gloomy. Whether he looked or not, his eyes opened or closed, or even if he looked in another direction, the planet was still rotating. Soon, 9 breaths passed, and on the 10th breath, the planet started to rotate even faster. This made Wang Lin feel vertigo even more, and his mental energy began to be exhausted at a rapid rate. Wang Lin had never experienced this kind of thing in his life. He couldn't understand what was happening, what kind of restrictions existed inside this formation. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He stepped forward with no hesitation. Even if this planet is strange, it is still not far from me. I'll simply ignore it and enter the planet. Wang Lin moved very fast and crossed an endless distance with one step. However, after this step, Wang Lin's pupils shrank. He found that he had walked in place instead of moving toward the planet. The distance between them hadn't changed and the planet was still rotating. It was as if the planet had moved as well. Wang Lin silently pondered. At this moment, the second set of 9 breaths passed and the third cycle began. The planet started rotating even faster, becoming blurry in Wang Lin's eyes. What kind of formation is this? So strange. Wang Lin's heart felt irritated as the planet continued to rotate. This irritation didn't come suddenly, it felt like it had always been there. However, the moment this irritation appeared, the rotation of the planet suddenly became faster. This increase in speed caused the planet to become much more blurry. Right now, it looked like the planet had begun a giant cyclone. Wang Lin's face turned slightly pale and he couldn't suppress the irritation in his heart. It became stronger and stronger, and the rotation of the planet became faster and faster as well. Something isn't right. Wang Lin rapidly retreated. However, no matter how fast he retreated, the distance between him and Planet 5 Elements didn't increase at all. This strange change shocked Wang Lin's heart, and the irritation in his heart became even stronger. At this moment, the fourth set of 9 breaths passed and the planet entered its 5th cycle. The moment it entered the 5th cycle, due to Wang Lin's irritation, Planet 5 Elements no longer looked like a planet. It had completely changed into a circle of vortexes that rotated rapidly. Wang Lin's body trembled and his chest felt stuffy. As the planet rotated, Wang Lin felt like the world was spinning. It was as if the only one not spinning was himself. However, this made Wang Lin feel as if he didn't belong here, it made him feel irritated. The sense of vertigo was painful for Wang Lin, making him want to vomit. He staggered back and his face became deathly pale. His eyes were completely bloodshot. As he stared at the vortex, on top of irritation, madness appeared in his eyes. However, the moment the madness appeared, the speed of the vortex increased greatly. Wang Lin's feet became unstable and he started rotating along with it without him being aware of it. In the 9th floor of the tower, the old man in the golden robe looked at this and laughed. His eyes were filled with cruelty and joy. He looked outside the tower with contempt and disdain. It has already entered the 5th cycle, he can't escape. Even if I went inside, I wouldn't be able to enter after the 5th cycle. He can only have his mind be exhausted by the formation and have all his life force wasted. This person wants to break into my planet 5 elements. He is simply too arrogant. Duo also smiled, but there was still lingering fear in his eyes. He didn't know as much about the 9-cycle heart wheel as the old man, but he had stepped into it himself a long time ago. He was well aware of the terror of this formation. He entered a coma in the 3rd cycle and was saved by the ancestor. It took a long time for him to recover. After that, he only felt awe and fear toward this formation. Outside the planet, Grand Empyrean Xian Luo gently shook his head and let out a sigh. Still not as good as expected. Even if there is only a little bit of expectation, it can turn into disappointment. It is still rare for him to last 5th cycles. I'll let him experience it a bit more, and when it enters the 9th cycle, I'll act. Grand Empyrean Xian Luo still felt some disappointment, but he understood that if he had rushed into this famous formation without any knowledge before he became a Grand Empyrean, he would be in a similar state. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale. In the 9th breath of the 9th cycle, he coughed out blood. This was caused by the exhaustion of his mind. His body began to slowly rotate, but he stopped it by force. The veins on his face bulged, and irritation and madness filled his mind. He stared at the vortex that was about to reach the limit of its rotation and stood there motionless. He knew that whether he liked or not, the vortex would still be there. He understood that whether he thought about it or not, the vortex would still be there. He was aware that if his body rotated with the planet, his mind would be pulled inside. Once his mind had been completely exhausted, the only thing awaiting him would be death. Every 9 breaths, the rotation of the planet suddenly increases. Wang Lin endured the vertigo and pain as he forced his mind to calm down to think. 9 breaths for one change. The moment I became irritated, the rotation intensified. The moment the madness appeared, the rotation became faster. The more Wang Lin pondered and thought, the faster the rotation became, making it almost impossible for him to think. He stared at the vortex, and the more he couldn't calm down, the more he thought. He needed to find out the cause for everything to be spinning. Soon, the 6th set of 9's breath passed, the 7th, and the 8th, flashed by. In the 9th floor of the tower, the old man laughed as he waved his sleeve. He took Duo outside the tower and stood in the sky. The 9th cycle, this person is dead for sure. Duo, follow this old man to collect his body. The old man in the golden robe laughed and was about to walk forward. However, his laughter suddenly stopped and his eyes became filled with disbelief. It slowed down. The rotation slowed down. Impossible, this is the 9th turn, this. Duo was also terrified. He was originally smiling, but that smile quickly turned into fear. Similarly, outside the planet, Grand Empyrean Xian Luo was shaking his head and suppressing the disappointment in his heart. He was about to wave his right hand, but just as he lifted his hand, he stopped. His eyes shined and he lowered his right hand. His ancient heart began to beat. Inside the formation, when the first breath of the 9th cycle arrived, Wang Lin suddenly closed his eyes. Heart stirred. My heart was stirred. My heart was stirred, and as a result, my body, soul, and everything, including the planet, is moving. All of this is happening because my heart is not calm. The bloodlines in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared and the madness faded. All irritations disappeared and his heart was as calm as the water. This video will end here.